Park City, Kansas. Quiet streets, friendly neighbors, and at the center, Dennis Rader. He was a family man, wife, 2 kids, a modest home. To everyone, he was trustworthy. Boy Scout leader, church council president, always involved. He installed security systems, enforced city rules, and seemed to be everywhere. If you lived in Wichita, you probably saw him at the store, a school event, or maybe on your doorstep. He was just Dennis, maybe a bit strict, but never dangerous. The idea that he could be a monster was unthinkable. He was a father, a neighbor, a friend, but that was the masked normalcy. He built a fortress of respectability, PTA meetings, Sunday sermons, scout uniforms. Behind those walls, he hid a secret. A darkness no one suspected. A secret that would one day shatter the peace of this small Kansas town. For now, he was just Dennis Rader. No one had any idea what was lurking inside. The most chilling part? He was utterly, terrifyingly ordinary. The mask he wore wasn't made of rubber or cloth, it was made of everyday life. He blended in so well, no one ever looked twice. But behind closed doors, the truth was waiting. The man next door was hiding something unimaginable, and soon the world would know. But for years, he was just another face in the crowd. Beneath the surface, Dennis Rader lived a double life. He called his hidden self the X Factor, a compulsion he fed with dark fantasies. This wasn't a sudden break, it was a parallel existence. He named his secret self BTK, bind, torture, kill. BTK was his brand, his mission statement. While Dennis led scouts and church meetings, BTK stalked victims, planned attacks. The two identities coexisted, allowing him to function in daylight and plot horrors at night. He needed recognition, but not exposure, so he created a persona to taunt police and claim his crimes. Rader's secret life required meticulous compartmentalization. He'd leave home with a hit kit, ropes, tape, weapons, hunting for his next project. The man who enforced rules by day was, in secret, a predator above all laws. The terror began on January 15, 1974. The Otero family, parents and 2 children, were murdered in their home. Rader had watched them, planned, and struck with chilling brutality. He bound, tortured, and killed them, leaving Wichita in shock. The police were baffled. No motive, little evidence, just horror. For months, the case went cold, fear simmering beneath daily life. Then, a letter arrived at the Wichita Public Library. The author claimed responsibility, revealing details only the killer could know. He signed it BTK, bind, torture, kill. The monster had a name. BTK wasn't content to kill. He needed credit, attention. The letter was a calculated move, injecting himself into the investigation. He became a character in his own story, written in blood and fear. The arrival of that letter changed everything. The nightmare in Wichita was only just beginning. After the Otero murders, BTK's attacks became sporadic, months, even years apart. This unpredictability made him more terrifying. No one knew when he'd strike next. He stalked victims, learned their routines, and called it trolling. When ready, he'd break in, bind, and terrorize, feeding on their fear. He craved the spotlight, sending taunting letters and poems to police and media. He demanded recognition, frustrated when the world didn't give him his due. The list of victims grew. Catherine Bright, Shirley Vian, Nancy Fox, Maureen Hedge, Vicky Weigirl. Each murder sent new waves of fear through the community. BTK became bolder in his communications, yet more elusive. He was a ghost, living among them, yet a complete mystery. The decade of darkness stretched on, the killer always one step ahead. Wichita lived in fear, never knowing if the monster was someone they knew. He was a boogeyman who was all too real. The mask of normalcy held strong. The deadly game continued, and the city waited for the next strike. After Dolores Davis's murder in 1991, BTK vanished. The letters stopped, the killings ended, and Wichita breathed a cautious sigh of relief. Had he died, moved, or been jailed? No one knew. Dennis Rader blended back into ordinary life. Family man, church leader, city employee. He watched his children grow, became a grandfather, attended church picnics. The monster was dormant, buried beneath routine. For 13 years, he lived among those he'd terrorized, his secret intact. The city moved on, but the case remained open. Rader later claimed his urges never left, but family life kept them in check. The quiet years were his greatest deception. The world had forgotten BTK. But he was just waiting. In 2004, the 30th anniversary of the Otero murders, a newspaper revisited the cold case. For Rader, being forgotten was intolerable. The monster reawakened. He needed to remind Wichita he was still out there. He sent a letter to the Wichita Eagle, including a victim's stolen ID and crime scene photos. BTK was back, and the city was gripped by fear again. He sent packages to news stations, mementos, puzzles, taunts. This time, he wanted to be a media star. He asked police if he could use a floppy disk to communicate safely. The police, setting a trap, told him it was okay. Rader's pride drove him. He wasn't killing, just talking, obsessed with his legacy. He even designed a book cover for the BTK story. The need for recognition was now his weakness, and it would lead police straight to him. Trusting the police, Rader mailed a floppy disk to a TV station. He thought he was clever, but technology betrayed him. Police found Christ Lutheran Church and the name Dennis in the disk's metadata. They cross-referenced church records. Dennis Rader, president of the council. The net closed fast. Investigators obtained his daughter's DNA from a medical clinic and matched it to evidence from a 1974 crime scene. It was a familial match. They had their man. On February 25, 2005, police arrested Rader as he drove home. The game was over. Rader confessed in chilling detail, showing no remorse. He was sentenced to 10 life terms, one for each victim. The man who hid behind normalcy was exposed by his own pride. In the end, the need for attention destroyed him. Sometimes the monster we fear most is the one who looks just like us. And in Park City, Kansas, the mask finally fell.